It all started with the bike that's behind me, which was the F750 program. I first saw the bike come up at an auction and was intrigued by it being a Butler Smith bike. Decided to pass due to some of the engine components not being on the bike that would make it critical to it representing what it is, and regretted, as collectors and auctions do, not bidding on it after the bike closed. Some time passed, thought about the bike often, and I saw it come up on the cover or an advertisement for a Quail motorcycle show put on by Gordon McCall, and was upset that, again, when I saw the bike, that I reiterated that I should have purchased it and gone after it in the beginning. A little more time passed, and I decided to give Gordon a call, and I purchased the bike from him. At the same time, I got Udo's phone number and gave him a call, reintroduced myself to him, and asked him if he'd be interested in restoring the bike with me. He is a well-known figure within the BMW motorcycle community, legendary engineer, builder, just has done amazing things with BMW, and basically through his development work through the 70s and with his Daytona win in '76, basically kept, in my opinion, BMW alive and cemented them as a sports motorcycle in North America. Again, the development work he's done on a motor that was relatively antique in some ways to bring it into a competitive state in the '70s and Superbike was just incredible. So it built up quite a close friendship with Udo. We speak to each other quite often from a variety of things, but usually centers around motorcycles. And we decided to put a plan together to rebuild this bike. And Udo still had a lot of the components and associations with people to get the material needed to build it back faithfully.
Okay, we started end of 1970. And Peter said, well, the thing is, best thing for you, BMW has 4 frames and a whole series of parts from a project they had with some European writers. And at that time, the state-of-the-art frame was the Norton Manx. And so they literally, this is a copy of the Norton frame. And so they built 6. 2 of them went to Helmut, and I got 4. This is number 2. And the first one was the one where I built fiberglass tank, and that one was written by Kurt Liebman, and then later on by Justice Taylor. And I got a lot of information from BMW. For instance, they made the connecting rods, but they were not familiar yet with titanium. But Porsche was, and you know, there was some friendship between the engineers at Porsche and BMW. They were engineered by Porsche, a designer. The material came from Russia. It was forged in Czechoslovakia, went back to Porsche, was machined, and when they came and I got them, they didn't fit. So I had to modify the rods then. You can see they were beautiful rods, well made. There was just some engineering, you know, design, because they didn't have a motorcycle. They just had exchange of information. I started out with the connecting rods, of course, and I got nickel seal cylinders. They already had nickel seal cylinders in 1970, but they didn't get the pistons right. This thing would smoke like crazy. It could not get the rings to seal. I went first to Weisco, and then I went to Venolia, and I stuck with Venolia throughout the entire time. I mean, just about everything was made by Venolia by then, until they closed the doors, and now we're with J&E. And they have all the tooling from what we used back then. I'm fanatic on camshafts. You have no idea how many different cams. Camshaft used German cams and flat tappets. total failure. I also became befriended with O'Brien at Harley Davidson. And he said, you need this. There's a Harley lifter. You know, because all you're doing is destroying flat tappers. The thing is, all it does is the valve train floats. You can't put enough spring tension. And he said, try this. And he gave me a whole bag full of these things. So I went back and I designed a new valve train with the Harley lifter. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the last dyno motor ran at 10.5. And ignition always was the German Krober ignition. I'm very confident in it. I really like that thing. And so the twin plug thing came into the picture, and porting very critical. But the thing is, we developed the ports, the exhaust system, the piston domes, you know, a piston design. And so just one thing after another, it's development. And the motor was very strong. I mean, I was up on the 750 motor up to 102 horses at 10.5. Development was, I built my own dyno. I ran it almost every single day. After hours, when the shop closed down, 5 o'clock, the employees had to be out of the building because I was running the dyno. So, and this went on throughout the entire racing. Pridmore got the bike in '72. But Pridmore raced this thing in actually Daytona. We did with this bike. We did Laguna Seca. But then, you know, it was sort of a split team. They had the West Coast. I would go there in the winter a lot and work with Reggie and Helmut. But with the split team, Reggie and on the West Coast, he did a lot of production racing. That was raced 1.5 seasons. And he won several championships with this motorcycle in the production classes. So that's the big history on this motorcycle. But it also did finish Daytona. I was ready to challenge Yamaha. You know, but then Peter pulled the plug. He says, you know what, this is getting too expensive for us. It's amazing. I mean, out of all the bikes I built, only one of them is lost. They're all recycled.
So it's amazing that these bikes are still available and were found and are being faithfully restored back to their condition when they raced in period. My particular point of view on this is that everything that I've got, for the most part, I like to run and put on a track, even at a track day, be able to be utilized, not just be parked in a garage. So to that end, when we restored the bike, it was important that components that had some historical significance or that we didn't want to have any damage to, such as the original fairings, we removed and we stored and were able to get faithful replacements from the original vendors. Udo still had a great relationship with a lot of the original vendors that he used during the original build of the bike, and we were able to get pretty much all the material needed. So we're very lucky to find it. Even luckier to be able to have Udo work with us and do the stuff that he does. It's just amazing, and looking forward to doing more projects with him.